Welcome to Tough Conversations with David Wood, where play meets depth. We help teams and high-performing leaders like you to master your tough conversations so you succeed in your career and in your life. When we avoid tough conversations, we stay small. Teams stay disengaged, conflicted, and ultimately end up quitting. When we lean in and master our tough conversations, they become the defining moments that literally shape our careers, our relationships, and our lives. So let's dive in and master your next tough conversation so you can be the leader that you would follow. Let's play.
So the tough conversation is, I don't want her home. And we have our 16-year-old daughter here, and I just don't want her to act out all over us. Because when she's on, she is on. She is one of the most amazing women I've ever met. But when she's not, everybody wants to run and hide. It's like the tornado coming through town.
Welcome, listeners. This is a very powerful episode. It's another case study from our free weekly Zoom call where we help listeners just like you role play their tough conversations. Confidentially, they can turn the video off, they can use a fake name, and we dive straight into it and empower them to go out and have that tough conversation. Now, in this example, Bill's marriage is on the line. He actually doesn't want his wife to come home. Now, that's a tough conversation. He needs something big from her, or he might need to leave the marriage. So the stakes are very high. Now, we spend the first 10 minutes diving into Bill's key issues so that he can get clarity. Who is the issue with? What's the hope that he has out of having the conversation? What's a fear that he has? What is the actual issue? Does he have a specific request? And what's it like if he puts himself in the other person's shoes and gets curious? Now, we'll skip over that in this episode to save time, but I'll summarize it for you here. His wife is miserable, she's not sleeping, and she's having a negative impact on her family. She's not fun to be around, and people want to run from her when she's triggered. So she checked herself into rehab, even though she's not actively using anything, to heal. Now she hates it and she wants to come home, but Bill's worried that if she does, he'll need to leave the marriage. He needs something to change for him to stick around. And so he's scared about having that conversation. He feels like her staying in rehab is like a last-ditch effort to save the marriage. So let's join in on the role play, and then we'll debrief afterwards and draw out some insights. Listen for, is there actual permission to have this conversation, and what might need to happen first? How do you have a conversation like this? Let's find out.
I just wanted to put a quick aside in here for Heather and let her know that the conversation we had last time, I did have that, and it was amazing. And I've been using this technology also with other people that I speak with that have tough conversations. And I have been recommending the podcast. I find them getting better and better.
So do you have a tough conversation in mind that you could use help with?
Oh man, do I have a tough conversation. The tough conversation is, I don't want her home. We have our 16-year-old daughter here, and I just don't want her to act out all over us. Because when she's on, she is on. She is one of the most amazing women I've ever met. But when she's not, everybody wants to run and hide. It's like the tornado coming through town.
Okay, so I think I have enough for us to role play this. So the idea is that I'm going to play you, and you're going to play your wife, and you can throw anything at me that she might throw at you. Does that make sense?
It does.
Cool.
Good luck.
Thank you. So I'm imagining that the phone is ringing. I'm you. I pick up the phone. Hello?
Bill, I've had it. This doesn't work. I didn't sleep all last night. I can't think. I can't do anything. I'm just going to sleep through everything. I'm getting in a Uber and I'm coming home.
Oof. Hey, Jill. I'm so sorry to hear that. I've been really hoping that this experience would.
I know you've been hoping for it, but it's just not working. And I'm doing this. I'm not going to do it for you anymore. I can't. I just can't anymore. You don't understand. I can't. these psychiatrists here, they don't know what they're doing. They're giving me all these crazy drugs. It makes me feel horrible. I want out. I'm leaving.
Hmm. Jill, I notice want to have a conversation with you, and I feel a little afraid. I love you so much, and you know one of my core values is family, and that I'm committed to our relationship, and that I always want to share honestly and openly with you. And this is a tough subject for me. Are you available for that conversation?
Just let me come home and get in my own bed and sleep. I've had enough of this place. I don't want to be here. Don't you understand how many times I have to repeat myself? You know, it's always about you. You don't have any compassion for me. You got to listen with some compassion.
Well, I want you to take care of you. And if coming home is part of that, then I'm open to it. And I still want to have this conversation. So knowing that coming home is on the table, are you willing to talk?
We've had this conversation so many times. I told you when I called yesterday, I was going to try one more time. I tried. No, I don't want to have this conversation. I'm just coming home.
Okay, how can I support you?
Well, you could get in the car and drive up here and pick me up.
Okay, so pausing the role play for just a second.
Okay.
Um, One thing, like you've acknowledged, is that if someone is not fully stable, having a conversation like this may not actually, like, the timing is important, right? And the setting
Yeah.
is important. So let's say that you head over, you pick her up where
Mm-hmm.
she is, and you guys are, let's say, walking out of the facility, getting in the car. So um, how are you feeling, Jill?
Well, I'm glad you finally listened to me. Yeah. And, oh, great. Yeah, let's go home. I'm sure everything will be okay when I get home.
Got it. On the way home, I mentioned on the phone that there's a conversation that I really want to have, and I'm glad that we're going to have it in a place where you feel more comfortable as we're on our way home. And it's really important to me, and I feel a little nervous to have it. Are you open to talking about that as we're driving, or even just while we're sitting in the car?
I'm going to say yes.
So, like I said, I love you so much, and family is so important to me. And I want to share honestly what's been coming up for me as we've been, working to get you feeling healthy and good. And what I imagine for our relationship, I want you to feel loved, fulfilled, a sense of real partnership with me. I want you to feel heard and safe. And I want us to be able to have a productive, tough conversation and to really be functioning as, at our best. And for our family, I especially want the sense of like joy, calm, and an ability for each person to have freedom. And so that's why I want to have this conversation with you, is because I see that we've got massive potential in our relationship. And
That's what I want too. I want to have that too, but you just have to understand, I haven't been sleeping. I've had all these issues. This has been a very tough year. I've had traumatic stress, all of this stuff. So you have to understand that you have to really be compassionate with it. I need compassion from you.
yeah, I absolutely get that. The thing, and it would be easiest for me not to share my needs around this too. It's really scary for me to share like how I've been feeling and what's been going on for me. Um, and and I need to, because I also really need to honor myself in this process. So the conversation that I need to have is that this has been so hard on me, and it feels like we haven't been able to find a solution yet, even though there's a lot of different, options for us to potentially take advantage of. And I am really scared that it's becoming so much that we might need to separate. And so that is part of why I want to have this conversation with you, because I don't want that.
What do
And
you mean? You want to separate? You want to get divorced? I can't believe you're saying this to me. I just got out of this horrendous 3 weeks. It has been horrible. I haven't been able to sleep. And you want to get divorced? I don't, no. This is the problem with you. You just don't understand me.
Yeah, I am saying that. And it has nothing to do with how much I love you.
Well, then stop the car and let me get out. I can't be with you.
Why don't I take you to the house? And
No,
then
I don't want to. I don't want to be with you. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be anywhere near you.
okay,
You're the problem. You're what makes my life miserable.
okay. I stop the car.
And let her out.
Mhm. What are you getting from this role play so far, being on her end?
You know, what I'm really getting is how hurt she is. How absolutely that she has taken on this role of victim, of being victimized by her
Mhm.
circumstances in her life. And what I'm really, really getting is, and I really want to thank you for this, I'm really getting there may be nothing I can do. And that's a really hard one for me to get with.
Mm.
Like, I think this tough conversation technology is brilliant. But one of the brilliant things is to know when it's enough, when it's just not possible. And that's a hard one for me to really accept because I believe everything's possible all the time.
Mm.
And so to understand that the chances may be so slim of succeeding at this, that the real tough conversation is a little bit later on when it's time to go.
Yeah. And it sounds like that may be a tough conversation with yourself, since
Yeah.
I'm not clear if she's actually up for that type of tough conversation.
No, not. And the conversation is there is no more conversation about it.
Mm.
I love you. I wish you well. And and I and there's just even as I say it, there's this part of me that's saying no. It's not gonna. Don't. I don't want that to happen.
Yeah.
And um, and I'm really getting to see how powerless I've held myself in this, and I really do have the power of saying no, not now, no, not me,
Hmm.
um, and whatever the consequences are, I'm willing to accept them
Yeah.
because I'm talking about the rest of my life, and that's invaluable to me.
Hmm.
And and suffering truly is a voluntary exercise, and I've been volunteering a little bit too much for that. So I'm going to, yeah, yeah. And
I
I
know.
guess that is the tough conversation with myself. Thank you.
Yeah, I noticed I have some other like coaching questions about like what's likely to come up to get in the way of you having that tough conversation with yourself and review setting
Oh,
those boundaries. And I want to make sure that we check in with the other coaches. And I want to acknowledge you for like bringing this, because even on the other side of it, as I was acting like you, like my heart rate was going up.
okay.
I really got how challenging this conversation can be and the courage and commitment it will take to even have it if it works. So thanks for all of that.
You're welcome.
David and Heather, what did you guys hear?
Yeah, I've got some thoughts I want to share. Firstly, one of the principles that we teach is to get permission for the call, for the conversation. And I think Meg did a really good job of trying to enroll Jill in the conversation and to do it artfully and with compassion, and was not successful. And part of the win here, I think, is that Meg did not force it, and she did not just dump it on Jill, which we tend to do in life. We're like, but I have to have this, so I'm just going to do it anyway. Meg realized, I don't have a yes. And she saw that Jill doesn't seem to have capacity right now to hear this stuff. So I liked that. Another thing I saw is I liked the empathy, and I think more empathy might have been warranted here. Like really spending some time. If the person's not ready for a tough conversation, they might need to be heard. So I could see more of, this sounds horrible for you. And I don't know what I would do if I couldn't sleep at night. And for you to keep doing it night after night, you're so brave. And here's me wanting you to stay, and you just want to be in your own bed. I would totally want to be in my own bed. This is horrible. I'm so sorry. It's so hard. Who knows, maybe 5 or 20 minutes of that, she might get to a place, if she feels fully heard, where she's ready to hear somebody else. How does that land for you, Bill?
I'm nodding my head.
Batman.
Oh, I love this.
I don't know if this is disguising my appearance very well, but
Yeah, I never know who you were.
David, that was great, and yeah, I mean, more empathy for sure, and again, recognizing that it could be a bottomless pit, and to keep throwing empathy into a bottomless pit is just going to exhaust.
Yeah.
So, and that's really what I'm getting, is there's a certain level of discernment that I've been having a difficult time finding because of my emotional volatility, because I'm allowing my emotional reactivity to get in the way of the discernment of what is enough and what isn't enough.
Yes. So more empathy might lead to permission and enrollment. And then if I was going to push, I do feel like there's one piece of information that might be useful for her to have. And Meg went there, but I'm going to paraphrase it. I just want you to know one thing, Jill, that might influence your decision. I'm really struggling too, and I've been latching onto this as a potential salvation for you and for us, because I don't know how to make us work. And I'm worried that if you come home now, that I won't be able to make us work and I'll need to leave. And so I'm hoping you might be willing to stay, as hard as it is, in case that's our salvation. And ultimately, this brings me to my next point. It's totally your choice, of course. I think that's really important. It's your choice. If you decide to come home and you decide you need to be in your bed, then you have agency, and I respect that, and it's your move. It may have implications for our relationship, and I think it may not be good, but I will absolutely come and get you and bring you home.
Thank you. You know, I find that these tough conversation templates are really valuable, and they are not natural. They don't come, they really require work and practice. And I'm appreciating this call because it's giving me a lot of practice.
And do you have the worksheet, Bill? You have the worksheet and the blueprint?
I do, yes.
Great. That's what we go from, because I'd probably skip a bunch of these steps too if I wasn't going from that, even coaching.
And David, I just want you to know that we have a mutual friend that I've been coaching, who is going to have a very tough conversation, and I've used the worksheet. So thank you, one generation further on.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on something else that I think you and Meg got to, is I think what I'm hearing is that you're starting to get your own agency and realize that you have the ability to leave. And I think I'm making up a story that in you realizing that, you're seeing that you don't have to fix it. You don't have to make her stay, that she can make her choices and you actually can leave if you don't solve it. Does that resonate?
It does resonate. When Ashley was younger, I didn't really feel that, but now it really makes a difference.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
Bill, I think you really gave her a challenge there. That was like, even when we're starting to train coaches in this methodology, I doubt I'd ever test them with something like that. That was really good. That was like super advanced. So I think you rocked it. I have total confidence in throwing you into any tough conversation.
Thanks. I feel acknowledged.
I hope you got as much as I did out of that role play with Bill. You're welcome to join us on the free weekly Zoom call to role play your tough conversation live. Again, it can be confidential if you like. Turn off the video, use a fake name. We're happy to help you get empowered so you can go out and have that conversation in the world. Register at playforreal.life/Zoom register. You've been listening to Tough Conversations with David Wood. Now it's action time. Mastering your tough conversations will have a major impact on your team, your company, and you as a high-performing executive or entrepreneur. If you're ready, request a discovery session with me at playforreal.life so we can transform your team, your company, and you. And if you've enjoyed this episode, I would love you to help me spread this message of tough conversations in a very simple way. Just leave a public review at playforreal.life/podcast. And you may hear me read it out loud and thank you live on a future podcast. Now, let's play.